ladies and gents, welcome into our week 4 edition of the Almost 13 Colonies Fantasy Football Podcast. We are joined this week by the one, the only Californian in the league, almost, Steve Lesher. Steve, first of all, congratulations on a new job, man. Let's start off this pod with a cheers to that.
West Coast, Best Coast, baby. Let's go.
Making big career moves. I'm extremely happy for you, man. I know we all are.
Yeah.
Wish you the best in California.
My fantasy team doesn't make any big moves, so we got to do it somewhere. So
at least real life is going better than fake life.
Yeah, good. Yeah, a pretty low bar, but we're happy for it. So,
well, very good, man. So, Pat, let's take a look back at the action and what transpired on the field this week. Take you to the fastest 2 minutes of the week 3 action in the Almost 13 Colonies. Our first matchup should bring a smile to most people in the league, especially Pat. Despite all the odds, all the on-paper projections, all the trades, the boys and me at Prestige Worldwide played the role of Rocky this weekend, knocking out Apollo Creed. He's off to 1-2 start and is basically eliminated from playoff contention. That's what I hear from Pat. AFC West took advantage of a lackluster week from Patrick's mustache. I take back everything I said about Mitch. Too soon. Despite the outcome, both these teams are off to 2-1 starts and possibly in contention here. Sammy's squad got slammed by Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith. Cordero Patterson showed that old man strength and somehow rumbled to a huge day as well. We'll see how long that continues. Lamar Jackson beat Kittlecorn while Brecken kicked it in the recliner. That's all I got with that one. And probably the most hotly contested match of the week, the King squeaked out a narrow victory over Zeke and Destroy, riding Graham Gano's leg to victory in Monday Night Football. And in primetime, game of the week fashion, Pat showed once again he may not be worse than Rutgers. He needs 2 more wins to prove otherwise. What a dominant performance in the first ever Portillos Italian Beef Bowl. Sucks to be Andy. He's 0-3 and had to Venmo Pat for Portillos on demand. Woof. Let's kick it back to you guys in the studios. All righty, welcome back into the studios where Pat is going to take it away with the injury update.
All righty, so first one and probably the most hilarious one of all is David Montgomery. Why do you call that hilarious? I call that hilarious because it happened during the Portillos Italian Beef Bowl. The one player that Andy was relying on to get him points just failed miraculously. You couldn't have drawn it up better. But he is shockingly seems like he's pretty okay. The injury was not nearly as bad as what it looked like on Sunday. He is day-to-day and questionable for this Sunday's game against the Giants, but he's not out of the season. He's not dead yet. So I'm praying for Andy and making sure that he's back next week to get him some more points, but we're just gonna have to see it.
It was kind of a bad day for running backs whose name starts with D.
Yeah.
And David Montgomery went down. Well, it was pretty early in the game too, so he put up a real dud for Andy.
It was I think the first drive of the game for the Bears.
Okay. Yeah, and then Herbert came in and just absolutely destroyed.
Yep.
And then Dalvin Cook got hurt. Unfortunately, it was not as early. You hate to see it for Dalvin. He always struggles with that shoulder, but he'll be back next week looking like freaking Gronk with some giant shoulder pad thing.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook is going to be okay. He's not questionable. Or he's going to be fine.
And then Andy, my trade actually slightly blew up in my face because it looks like I'm going to be out DeAndre Swift for probably 2, possibly 3 weeks because I think their bye week's coming up too. So that hurts. That hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts bad. So kudos to you, Andy. I think you can see the future. I don't think it mattered if he gave me DeAndre Swift or David Montgomery. He was screwed either way.
Yeah. Which is really unfortunate.
So, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to hijack you there, Pat.
No, you're good. You listed off a couple that I had on the injury report. So, next one I had, though, that you didn't list off is Dak Prescott. He's probably going to be out for week 4, but we're looking at a return for week 5 with the Rams.
Is he going to be good when he comes back, though? with a
This
hand
is
injury.
this is classic Dak Prescott Dallas Cowboy move. Dak Prescott shit the bed so bad week 1 that he went out with a hand injury, right? And gave the Cowboys enough time to get their offense together. Now that their offense is together, he's suddenly feeling much better. And he's going to come back now in week 5 against the Rams, and he's going to look like the hero. I see right through you, Dak Prescott. You're a fraud.
So
Capital F.
hear me out. Hot take. If you're the Cowboys, do you just freaking stick it out with Cooper Rush? The dude is undefeated. He's dropping dimes to CeeDee Lamb. He's done everything you can ask from the backup quarterback.
I mean, you're just paying Dak too much money to
That's what it's
like
going to
just
boil
from
down
like a
to.
business standpoint, you know.
Now, do I see the Cowboys possibly dealing Dak away after this season? Yes. I could see a massive trade going for the Cowboys.
I mean, I could see like a quarterback battle, maybe kind of situation.
I could also see
trade
that.
away Cooper Rush to a team.
Like if Cooper Rush, wins the job, then they've got a little more of a reason to do it. But I mean, who's going to want to pick up, Dak's gigantic contract?
Right.
The Jets. The Jets will absolutely want to take that contract.
Remember, Joe Flacco is elite, though. So
that is such a bad take.
Yeah, that was just aggressive. It has to be there just to be wrong. Like,
yes,
no way.
I think Pierce just actually made that to stir the pot.
I think, yeah. There's got to be some placements on that are just like intentionally not correct. Yeah, that's one of them.
For the people watching this at home, there's going to be a graphic around here that's going to talk about which QB is in what status level, coming from elite down to washed up. And the biggest one for me that was a dud was Tua being in the elite status. Tua has not earned the elite status.
You trade for him,
not
bro.
by a long shot. I did trade for him because he is a star and he is on the up and up.
He's one tier down, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call him elite.
Exactly.
I mean, also like this year specifically, I wouldn't call Aaron Rodgers elite, at least from like a fantasy standpoint.
I would have Aaron Rodgers in the same star level as Tom Brady.
Yeah. And then Geno is like not a dud. He deserves up a tier maybe.
Yeah,
I think he's been doing pretty well for the Seahawks.
Thanks a lot, Pierce. You stirred the pot enough to get us off track here, Pat.
He created great content. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Who's your last injury?
My last injury update is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He had a ankle injury in the game on Sunday. However, he is likely to play week 4. So for Beery, we'll get into this trade a little bit later, but for Beery, who just picked up Amon-Ra St. Brown, don't freak out. He's going to be fine.
All right. So let's dive right into the top waiver wire pickups, possibly trying to buy some insurance for some of the guys on there, or maybe a couple performers who did well last week.
Yeah. So my top waiver wire, who is not actually high in the projected for the next game, but I think you should probably still pick him up just for kicks and giggles, is Isaiah McKenzie from Buffalo. The dude had like probably his greatest game of his career. I mean, he got a crud ton of yards from Josh Allen in the Miami game. I think this is going to be a matchup that Josh Allen is going to love for the rest of the season, especially because Gabe Davis is just not performing anymore. So I would heavily consider trying to pick up Isaiah McKenzie if somebody is looking for a wide receiver.
Okay. And I saw there was one other one on our list or your list.
There's just one other one, and it's in the most shocking of shocks. Detroit defense is looking real good.
Who do they play?
They play. I had it up and I lost it. Give me just a second here. But the last 3 weeks, the Detroit defense has just been going off. And really, not even just Detroit defense itself, but the whole Detroit Lions team. I would never guess in a million years that we would be talking to Detroit as the best 1-2 team of all time. Like that, like Hard Knocks raised their spirits and have now become a legitimate football team to watch and actually cheer for and bet for. So next week they're going up against the Seahawks, which the Seahawks we all know is kind of mediocre this year, not really popping off to what. Yeah. So I would expect with their really bad offense that the Lions are going to actually get some pretty good points on the board this weekend.
I can see it. They're going to be missing DeAndre Swift, but I can definitely see it. Their defense, I think Jeff Kuda has really stepped up cornerback, locking down the other team's top receivers. That's something crazy to see. I mean, Justin Jefferson had 3 catches for 20 yards, something like that. Yeah. It was abysmal. It was awful.
Yeah, so. They locked Justin Jefferson down when they played against the Vikings this weekend.
Who they played? Did you ever find that?
So this weekend they played. What was it? Was it the Eagles? No, it wasn't the Eagles. This weekend they're playing the Seahawks.
Oh yeah.
They just played the Vikings to a 24-28 loss, which
they should shut down the Seahawks.
Yeah, they will absolutely shut down the Seahawks. And looking at their schedule, I would actually probably pick up the Lions defense now because all they really have
they're on your list.
They only have 2 games left where I think they're going to struggle. One game that's going to be the Dolphins on October 30th and the Bills on November 24th.
Okay.
Everyone else on their schedule, I feel like they could at least pick up 15 fantasy points a game.
I think you should put your money where your mouth is and pick up the Detroit defense.
Start them.
We will know at 4:00 in the morning.
I love it. So I'll kind of introduce the trade that went down today, actually, this morning. And then I'll let you guys kind of give me your grade, who you think won the trade, what your thoughts are. So I'm noticing a theme going on with the trading between a certain Apollo Creed and the rest of the league. And it almost seems a little predatorish, like you're searching for those folks who might be struggling this season, hunting, picking off their top players every week. It's a good strategy. It really is. Really is. So kudos to you for getting it done, Creighton. So Creighton traded to Zach, Chris Godwin, Cam Akers, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Adam Thielen. In return, he got Joe Mixon, Deebo Samuel, Dawson Knox, and Joe Flacco. So if you couldn't tell by the sarcasm in my voice, again, I really, really think Creighton got the best of this trade again. I think Deebo Samuel is going to be used in more phases than just the pass game. He's going to be used as a runner as well, which really boosts his value. And I think Jimmy G had a rough week last week, but you give him a full week of practice. That was kind of a preseason game for him. He's going to get back to the same form he was in last year. And I think he's actually a better thrower and distributor of the ball than Trey Lance is. And Trey Lance with his legs eats up opportunities that could have gone to Deebo. So I think there's going to be more opportunity, more big things that come from Deebo. And Joe Mixon's got to rebound at some point here. The Bengals are struggling a little bit offensively, and you got to establish a run first and play off with the passing game. So as far as Zach's end of the deal, I like Amon-Ra. I'm not sure he can stay at the elite level that he's played at so far through the first 3 weeks of the season. I think it remains to be seen. But the rest of the guys, I think they're very hit and miss. Very, very hit and miss. And I'm not sure that Zach's in a place where he can wait for Godwin to come back. So I give this edge to Creighton again. Good trade.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you'd rather have Mixon than Akers, right? And I think I would rather have Deebo than Amon-Ra too. So I think what Zach's thinking here is that Chris Godwin's going to come back hot, potentially. But
he's got a hammy injury though. When is he coming back?
Yeah, and then Tampa Bay is fairly loaded as far as wide receivers too. And I mean, you know, Tom Brady doesn't exactly have a history of like having a single go-to guy. I mean, he distributes the ball, I would say, pretty well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely agree. Creighton got the win on that one.
I'm going to, in a very hot take fashion, disagree with both of you. I'm disagreeing with both of you because Zach's team is 1-2. He has gone 3 weeks now with Joe Mixon and Deebo Samuel. Neither of them are producing what he wants to produce. If I'm Zach sitting in this seat, I need to change my formula. And I need to change it drastically because something is not working and something has to change. He can't get rid of Tyreek Hill. He can't get rid of Antonio Gibson. And I would also even argue that he can't get rid of Curtis Samuel. Right? Those are his 3 guys that he has to keep, and he cannot deal them out. So what are you going to do to change up this formula? Joe Mixon, who's not producing, I'm going to give him away. Deebo Samuel, who apparently cannot get a consistent enough good quarterback to throw to him, I'm going to give him up, and I'm going to get people that are more consistent. You could argue that Cam Akers is not consistent based off his week 1 performance, but he has been picking it up better lately. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is probably the most electric wide receiver right now, right? Obviously, not talking about Stephon Diggs or talking about Justin Jefferson. So,
hey, Jefferson has been bad.
I'm not saying he's been bad, but I'm saying in terms of hype and electricity right now, like I would rather be going for Amon-Ra St. Brown because his trend is going nothing but up. So I think if I'm Beery, I have to make this trade. I have to change the formula, and I think he did it perfectly.
All right.
ESPN has Creighton's team projected very high now because of the names of the players and who they've submitted. I don't think he's going to get as high as what ESPN is projecting. I think he's probably going to stay exactly where he stays. So I'm giving this trade win to Beery. I think he did an excellent job. I don't think he got fleeced in this slightest bit. I love the players that he got in this trade.
All right, that is a hot take.
Yeah.
So okay, so on that note, oh shoot, we actually forgot to put the first trade that happened since the last podcast on the episode. Actually,
so I couldn't find it on the league history on ESPN.
I'll let you guys just grade it really fast, so we don't spend too much time. But right after the podcast, Andy and I got a deal done. Andy gave me DeAndre Swift and Melvin Gordon. I gave Andy AJ Dillon and Cortland Sutton. Steve, thoughts?
I mean, DeAndre Swift is, before he got hurt, obviously is very, very good. So, I mean, AJ Dillon is a good flex, but I think it's tough to give up an RB1 like that. So, looking back on it, it's not as bad of a deal as I think it was, at the time, like just offhand, but still think you got the edge on that one by a little bit, not a ton, but AJ Dillon is outstanding this year. I mean, they effectively have 2, RB1s on the Packers this year. So
I agree with Steve. I think you won the deal, not by a lot, but I think you did win the deal.
Dude, my problem is Jamal Williams. Freaking Hard Knocks has Dan Campbell and Jamal Williams, panties in a bunch. They don't give DeAndre Swift any work near the goal line. I don't know if that's going to change the rest of the year because, man, Jamal Williams has soul. He's got heart from Hard Knocks. So,
Agreed.
Steal my man's work. What the heck? So, okay. Let's move on to picks. Just to recap last week as far as NFL games go, Clay got the best of us, Pat. He went 3-0. Creighton went 3-0 as well. I went 2-1. You went 1-2. So Overall, Clay leads us all at 7-2. I'm 6-3. You are 4-5, sir. So maybe a little better picks this week might help.
Yeah, that's it. I'll just pick better.
As far as league picks, Creighton went 2-4, so just about like his season's gone so far. If you adjust those ratios, game of the week picks between us three, Pat. I am still in first place at 3-0. Have not lost a game of the week pick yet. So you're 2-1, Clay's 2-1. So our first game this week is Miami. The Thursday night football game is Miami at Cincinnati. And Vegas has the Bengals favored by 3.5 points. I have Clay's pick here, and he's going with Miami on the road. So we'll start with Steve. You're the guest. Who you got?
I think I'm going to agree with Clay on that one. The Bengals are still trying to figure it out. Miami's hot. I like Miami.
One of the two undefeated teams.
Only two?
Yeah, them and the Eagles.
A little surprising, honestly, but
right.
Whatever.
Pat, who are you taking?
I am going. My problem is the Bengals offensive line finally going to show up this game?
Right.
And if they show up, the Bengals win this. If they don't show up, Miami wins this. I'm going to take a stab and say that the Bengals offensive line is not going to show up. So my official pick is the Dolphins. Fins up.
All right. So I'm going to deviate from the popular path here. I think that playing a home game for Cincinnati really helps. I think Burrow gets back on track, finds that connection with Jamar Chase.
I hope he does. I really hope he does.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I think the Bengals get back in the win column this week. Our Sunday game that was selected by your favorite commissioner is Kansas City at Tampa Bay. Chiefs are favored by 2.5 in this one, so it's projected to be fairly close. One caveat, this game is being relocated due to the hurricanes down in Florida. Prayers up. Hope that all the folks down there are okay. Who are you taking in this one, Steve?
Where do you get relocated to?
That's a great question.
They said a neutral site somewhere between Tampa and Kansas City.
Well, I think if the Packers can get them at home, Kansas City can probably get them in a neutral site. So I got to go KC on that one.
I like it, Steve.
Yeah, you saw their offense. Something's going on weird. I mean, granted, the Packers have really good defense, but
Chiefs just lost to the Colts last week, though, and they have a rent-a-kicker who can't kick for crap. So,
they'll figure it out. I'll still take Chiefs.
Okay, Clay agrees with you. He's also going Chiefs. Pat, who are you taking?
I got to go with the Chiefs on this one. I know that Mike Evans will be back this game. I think even Chris Godwin might be back this game. But I still got to go with the Chiefs, especially if it's at a neutral site. Yeah, you got to go with the Chiefs on this one.
You're not going to hear anything different from me, obviously. So I got Chiefs too. It would be irreconcilable if I went Bucks there. Next game on Monday Night Football is the Rams taking on 49ers in San Francisco. Niners are favored by 2.5. Steve, what's your take?
I got to have the Rams on that. Jimmy G sucks. The Rams are going to win that for sure. The 49ers are favored.
Yep, I'll go double check that, but I believe
Rams. Jimmy G stepped out of the back of the end zone last week. Come on.
Right?
Rams.
Okay, let's check Fox Sports. Go double check it. Unless I wrote that wrong. No, 49ers are favored by 2.5.
Maybe they know something I don't. They probably do, honestly. But no, Rams still.
Okay. Pat, are you slapping that bet as fast as you can to take the Rams at plus 2.5?
No, I'm not. So here's the thing about this game that you all are forgetting. The Rams' rush defense is awful. They are so bad. And when you have a team like the Niners, who all they can do is really run the ball, they're going to obliterate that rush defense. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than you think. I think that the Niners are going to win this game. I think the Rams are going to cover, though.
Okay. So I'm actually going to pull a little surprise trick here. I'm going to go with the Niners as well. Seems like they always have the Rams number, but for different reason than you, Pat. I actually think the Niners defensive front is absolutely incredible. Nick Bosa is an animal. I think it's going to look similar to what Week 1 was. Not as much of a blowout as the Bills, but I think you're going to see them be very, very disruptive, get in Stafford's grill, force some mistakes. So I think the Niners win it again. I don't think they cover like you said. So I think it's
they played the Broncos last week, right? And they won by like a point. Or they lost by like a point?
They lost.
They lost?
Yeah.
The Broncos are terrible.
You're right. Clay is also picking the Rams, just in case.
That game I don't know if you guys watch. I think you.
It was awful.
It was awful.
So bad.
It was the worst Sunday night football game I had seen in a long time.
It was bad.
Yeah.
But at least like every possession was meaningful, right?
I mean, the end of the game was interesting, but I don't know. Like Sean McVay runs too tight of a ship to, that's not going to happen in this game.
We will find out on Monday night, Steve.
Yes, so.
So, Steve, you ready for this? It's your time to shine.
Oh, God.
Opportunity in the sun or under the sea.
Okay.
Wherever you are right now.
It is a little sunny in SpongeBob land.
Okay. What's that town called?
Bikini Bottom.
There you go. So, live from Bikini Bottom, we have Steve Lesher making his picks here. Rapid fire, roughly.
Oh, God.
Okay. First matchup is 2-1 Prestige Worldwide versus 1-2 Hertz Donut.
Sorry there, bud. Jalen Hurts. It's pretty good.
What?
I don't know. Pierce put up like 160 last week.
What if I accepted your trade and started Trevor Lawrence?
Oh, then you'd win by a mile for sure. Yeah, so you should.
I should.
Yeah. Take my advice.
Are we seeing collusion on the podcast?
No, I'm just
live on the pod.
Honest opinion.
Steve's saying he would change his prediction to me winning if I accepted his trade. So we'll see.
I would absolutely guarantee it.
Okay, so he's going with Hertz Donut. So one for Pierce in the upset. Actually, Pierce is projected to win. Second matchup is Patrick's mustache. Don't get that confused with Patrick.
That is confusing.
Versus the King.
Ooh, that's tough.
2-1.
Man. Gotta go with Gizmo on that. I don't know why. I don't have a good reason. Just feel like Mitch has been projected really high this season. Got a pretty good team.
I thought we just said the ESPN projections don't matter, Pat. What's going on here?
No, they're always right.
Okay.
Always right. He definitely did not underperform last week at all.
No.
By any means.
No.
Not at all.
So our next matchup, this is a big one, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
This is two of the top teams in the league right now.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
We got worse than Rutgers, who's 3-0, versus AFC West, who's 2-1.
Ooh.
So Pat versus Alexander.
That is tough.
Will Pat stay undefeated?
Let's see. So Alexander's sure, why the hell not? Yeah, go Pat.
Go Pat, let's go.
You get it, baby.
4-0.
That's the most
4-0, let's go.
underwhelming take
Yeah.
I've ever heard in my life. Why not? Imagine if Lee Corso was here on College Game Day and like, yeah,
That's a
Look at this,
complete
Nate. I'm
Pat
putting this
McAfee
on.
move,
It's
too.
fine.
I'm putting the
Yeah.
Pat hat on.
Yeah.
All right. So you heard it here first, folks. Pat's going 4-0.
Yeah.
Take it up
No
to Steve.
problem. Easy peasy.
Next matchup has Sammy Squad 1-2 versus Corn Kid at 0-3. Does Andy pick up a win this week?
With the David Montgomery injury, that's
If you
tough.
still had
How
Jeffrey
injured is
Smith,
he?
you'd be
You're
screwed.
you're a medical professional. Is David Montgomery fine?
I didn't even hear what his injury was, so
Here,
I
I'll
can
read
tell
it to you, and then you can give me the. It doesn't even say. Knee, ankle, day to day.
That's very specific, not
Yeah. So what's the diagnosis there, Doc?
knee and the ankle, man. He has one
Yeah.
of each of them.
Has he got two? You got two?
Yeah.
Two each?
One set's busted, though.
That's what I'm saying. Let's say it's out of commish.
Man, I don't know. I just after the trade, I gotta go Andy. I feel like something's
Okay.
gonna go south for Zachary.
Well, Andy would be screwed if he did not have AJ Dillon and Cronin.
Then someone's got to root for Andy.
Yeah,
And I got you, Andy.
he's
So,
like a guy.
yeah.
Shout out to Andy, specifically Shirtless Andy. All right, next
Favorite
matchup is Zeke
form
and
of
Destroy
Andy.
versus yourself, Steve.
Oh, I mean, Kittlecorn all the way. I'm moving to Los Angeles. I got to self promote.
There you go.
People are all about that shit.
You can become like an influencer with your Kittle quarantine.
Yeah.
The worst part for me about you moving to California is that you're specifically moving 30 minutes away from a Portillo's. Like, that is so sick, and I'm so jealous.
I know. You should be.
So are you going to be really close to the Rams Stadium then?
No, I'll be in close to Riverside.
Oh, okay.
So the stadium will be like an hour away.
Gotcha.
But yeah, but I'll be like an hour from everything.
That's
Skiing,
dope.
Beach, Ram Stadium downtown, like Newport Beach, Palm Springs. I'm an hour from all of it.
So jealous.
Our last matchup this week,
Creighton,
is the Reed Bowl.
No, it's Creighton. Creighton's
the Reed Bowl. Why
points.
the hell don't we have something bet on this game between Creighton and Brecken?
That's a great question, and I feel like that needs to be addressed in the chat, almost immediately.
Like somebody has to drive to football practice with their shorts down or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right. This is also, by the way, the bye week for Odessa high school football, so they're not doing anything.
That's why Creighton's sending out a million trades, hoping somebody accidentally accepts one.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So
Creighton's projected for a bazillion points. So
yeah, I know projections don't matter, but at some point, that difference becomes too great.
12. I think Brecken is the second highest projected person, and he is projected to lose by 11.
By double digits. Yep. So it'll be interesting. Pat, who you got?
I'm gonna go Brecken on this one.
Okay.
I think that Creighton has a good team. He has definitely done what I have asked in this pod millions of times and traded, and has gotten a better team. That being said, I still feel like his team is just average, and I feel like the projected total is overinflating how good his team is. So I'm going to say that his performance this week is not going to be as high as what ESPN thinks, and I think Brecken's team will edge over him by like single digits.
So Clay has Brecken as well in this one.
If I know Clay, I feel like it's going to be the same reason.
Yeah. Okay, so let me look at the matchups really quick. I think that Creighton has a lot of good matchups with his team this week. And I think that's going to be ultimately what carries him. it really depends on Lamar Jackson. I think that's what it comes down to. Lamar Jackson, and then the second one is going to be Javonte Williams and Mike Williams. So Williams.
Lamar's playing Buffalo, which is
so that could be a shootout. Stout defense, but don't underestimate.
It's also Lamar Jackson. So
I think that Javonte Williams and Mike Williams, if they decide to get Javonte more involved, there's a possibility that Brecken can pull it off. If Mike Williams has a boom week, because he's boom bust, man, then he has a chance as well. But he needs at least one of those to happen to have a chance here. So Creighton by quite a bit. So we're split. Steve and I got Creighton, Pat and Clay got Brecken. So we'll see what happens in that one. Let us know after you listen to this podcast what you think Creighton and Brecken need to bet on the Reed Bowl. This needs to become an annual thing. If Pat and Andy can do $100 towards Portillos, then y'all can definitely do something between the brothers. So, all right. It's been fantastic, guys. Got any last words before we sign off here?
Can't pick our favorite cereals again. That was fun. I still haven't tried mini spooners. I haven't bought any groceries.
Because you're not an 80-year-old man, Steve.
Hey, that's fair.
Don't diss them. They hear all on the podcast.
That's so funny to me. Did you go out and buy mini spooners just to have it in the background for the pods now?
No, I snagged the bag from our pantry and stuck it on my shelf just to permanently be there while I consume the other bags.
Gotcha.
But yeah. So, okay, boys. Well, I'm going to...
Oh, final thoughts?
Yeah, go
final
ahead.
Thoughts real quick. So, as we all know, I'm 3-0. Right? Looking pretty good. 78% chance to make the playoffs. Just, I did not say that. ESPN said that. I'm just repeating what ESPN is saying, making clarifications. Big shout out to Andy. So, as we just talked, this was the Portillos Italian Beef Bowl. And the loser had to buy the winner Portillos Italian beef, right?
Right.
Andy, I feel like, is the only one in this group chat that would have legitimately done it. So I want it to be known that there is no bad blood between Andy and I for me destroying him this week. I texted him after Sunday. And, we talked about it. I tried inviting him over. It's not going to work out because he's got farming stuff going on. But I think what this group chat is really, or this league is really all about is sportsmanship. And I think we do a really great job across the board of sportsmanship. So that's my final thoughts. Also, shout out to Creighton for being 1-2.
Right after the sportsmanship comment. I love it.
Yeah.
Steve, any last thoughts from you, man?
I'm jealous Pack gets Portillos.
It's coming in on Thursday.
I personally know that it would not be in my best interest to ever bet that I will win with anyone. So don't expect me to be doing any of that.
None of that.
Particularly you, Creighton. I know you're going to try to cash out on me sucking, and I'm not going to give in. So that's it. That's my final thoughts.
I love it. Steve's making this stand. So,
yeah, I say never bet against yourself, but I also am not going to bet on myself.
That's fair.
So, yeah.
Man, I thought you were set up for such a good year. Hey, Pat, does that Portillos come with the cake shake?
Does not come with the cake shake.
That kind of stuff.
Is it just beefs or what is
it? Is 8 Italian beef sandwiches. So it's the French bread, the meat, the gravy, the sweet peppers, and the jardinera.
Okay. That still sounds appetizing, but their cake shakes are fire.
Oh, they are so fire. If there was a way they could send me just a gallon of the cake shake, I would take it in a heartbeat.
And the cheese fries.
And also
they have the best shitty nacho cheese.
Oh, it's
the finest shitty nacho
so good.
cheese.
I learned
You know?
this weekend that you can get a 365 subscription to Portillos.
Yeah, I saw
You
that.
can get so once a month you get a different box, right? Whether it's hot dogs, Italian beef, sausage Italian
Ribs,
beef, or like a
whatever.
chocolate cake.
Yeah.
And it's for like $750. Break it down, like it's basically like $65 a month. So you get 2 meals every month of
Yeah,
Portillos.
I think they charge you about like 50% more than what they do in the store or something, which isn't like horrible, you know.
Yeah.
Don't get greedy, boys.
I'm just a man that loves his Portillos.
That's fair.
No free shout outs, but I do love you, Portillos.
We need advertisements. We need to get somebody who's involved in business. Alexander maybe can take on a third job if he ever comes on this podcast and track
Next
down
season I'll do like a
sponsors.
monthly Portillos check for you. So I'll just come on the podcast. I won't talk. I'll just eat Portillos.
God, I would love to have a Steve Portillos cam.
I can do one of those. I can do one of those gross like Korean videos where they just eat food on camera. I'll do that for you guys. It's the fucking weirdest thing ever. What are those? It's called like a mukbang or something. It's like
it's just it's like 20 minutes of just watching someone eat food.
We're just doomed. Our whole
very weird fetish.
Society is over at this point. It's like watch me eat 7,000 calories of purple foods. It's like what the hell?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll do that for you guys with Portillos though. So
my final take on that note of the world being doomed. I think this has been one of the weirdest years of fantasy football.
Yes.
Just from a player performance standpoint, I mean, you never know what the heck's going to happen. I mean, Nick Chubb is running back 1, I believe, followed by Saquon Barkley, and like James Robinson is 3. So, I mean, for a league that overspends for running backs every single year massively, I mean, I think you're severely disappointed this year in the performance of pretty much everybody. And then wide receivers, some of the top guys have fallen off a little bit. And it's really a year of, hey, you got to really go through and find a matchup. So you think it's going to be that rando that comes down with 8 catches for 150 and a touchdown. And it kind of makes it fun. It keeps things interesting. So
yeah, what I've noticed this year is like this year in particular, whoever the quarterback is for the team seems to be just like vital.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kamara dropped off, and then like Christian McCaffrey. So it's sort of like gone are the days where somebody can like carry themselves. It's like the quarterback for the team. It has to be like the right player and the right quarterback.
Right.
Otherwise it just, at least this year, it seems to be that's like more important. I don't know.
It's funky. It's funky for sure. So,
all right, one last thing before we finally end the podcast. I brought it up on Sunday because I thought it was a little weird how the scoring works for defenses, and I wanted to bring it up to see if I was the only crazy person. So sacks are worth 2 points for every sack, right? And your team gets 5 sacks, and that's 10 points. But if my defense gets 1 sack, but they had either a pick 6, or they had a fumble recovery for a touchdown, or they blocked a punt, that's only 2 points.
Nope,
I feel like those should be. What?
Touchdowns are 6.
No, maybe not. But I found it really weird because your defense, Colin, I can't remember who your defense is, but they had 5 sacks and they basically scored more points than the Carolina defense. And I thought that was a little weird. So I wanted to discuss the scoring.
The turnover is the same amount of points as a sack.
Yep. So, for example, if your team gets an interception return for a touchdown, they get 2 points for the interception and 6 points for the touchdown.
Okay.
So, all touchdowns in any position are worth 6 points.
It is worth 6. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, whether it's kickoff return, block, punt for a touchdown, whatever. It doesn't matter. Touchdowns
is that typical for the scoring? It seems to me that a turnover should be worth more than a sack.
Yeah, and that's something we can address down the road if you want to, but I think this sack
it'd be worth Googling. and see if
I-
that's like typical. Or if
I
the
was gonna
next-
say, I think it'd be
it seems
weird.
a little weird
We
to
can't
me.
we wouldn't change it this season, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think maybe in the off season we should kind of go back to this defense subject, because I agree with Steve. If you get an interception, that should be 3 points, right? It should be more. It should
or
be
like
worth more than a
4.
sack.
I mean, in my mind, a sack's probably 2, and a turnover is probably 4. Something like that.
I could see 4. I would settle with 3.
You know,
I think we
because
call
like a
it leverage,
turnover ends a
but-
drive. A sack is just
A lot of times those end drives too, though.
eh.
Take you out of range.
Turnover guarantees it, though.
Yeah, that's true. I can see your points. You know, that's definitely worth discussing next offseason.
Yeah.
So
And getting rid of
Alright, boys.
kickers. We don't need kickers anymore. Just get rid of
Young
them.
are
Ho
fun.
Koo is taking my team to the promised land, so I'm going to disagree
are
with you
fun.
there.
Nobody trades kickers. They're useless. It's just pick whoever.
Useless. I beg to differ. I got number 1 defense and a number 1 kicker, and they carry my ass.
You don't have Young Ho Koo, so I don't know. I don't know if you have the number 1
You
kicker.
guys better than Young Hoku,
Who do you have?
the number 1 kicker.
That doesn't
Oh,
tell me who
yeah.
you have. Who do you have?
I have Ryan Suckup. That's who I have.
He's not the number 1 kicker. No
He
way.
is. Fact check it.
I actually am
God.
kind of fact checking it.
Who is my kicker? Matt Gay,
So
16th.
there you go.
Rams haven't been scoring a lot or something.
See, Pat, I wasn't lying.
Okay, Ryan Suckup. He has 33 fantasy points.
Yeah, bro.
What?
Yeah, dude. Number 1 kicker. All phases of game. That's what Prestige Worldwide is all about.
Okay, so what about our boy Koo?
So, anyways, I think we're running just a little bit long here. So
They have the same fantasy points. That's hilarious.
it's funny.
Okay, enough of that. Sorry.
Anyways, thanks for sticking with us to the end, guys. Hope y'all have a great week. Best of luck to everybody this week. Hopefully, Andy can go out there and get a win. We'll see if Pat can get the 4-0. It's 1 game closer to changing his team name. So,
So
all right, we'll see y'all next week. Cheers, boys.
Hey guys.
cheers.
Bye.
So